Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Karim Zimik. Here are the headlines. Sri Lanka says UN resolution on civil war crimes lacks authority. Devastating massive fire tears through Rohingya camp in Bangladesh. And women beat men with sticks, play with flowers during Holi revelry in India. Let's begin the show. The United Nations Human Rights Commission has received a mandate to collect evidence of crimes during the Sri Lankan civil war that ended in 2009. The resolution aimed at promoting reconciliation, accountability and human rights was adopted with the majority of 22 votes against 11 and 14 abstentions. And while the right groups have welcomed the move, Colombo said the resolution lacked authority as the majority of the 47-member body did not support it.
UNHRC, the UN human rights body, has adopted a resolution calling for accountability for human rights violations committed in the final phase of Sri Lanka's war against Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam or LTTE. The United Nations believe that 80,000 to 100,000 people died in the 26-year conflict, and Colombo, with its current president Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was then the defense chief of the country, with current Prime Minister and the then President Mahinda Rajapaksa, led the violations. Around 40,000 people were killed in the last phase and 20,000 went missing before the war concluded. The vote was 22 in favour, with 11 against, including China and Pakistan, and 14 abstentions, including neighbouring India. Sri Lanka, however, has ridiculed the move, saying it doesn't hold merit for it didn't receive a yes from even half the strength of UNHRC.
They want to have a special process against Sri Lanka to collect various information. This is what this resolution initiates, but leading to much more dangerous objectives if they were able to succeed. Out of the 47 countries of the Human Rights Commission, they could harness only 22. 25 votes was not on their side of the resolution. They did not say yes to the resolution. This is the most important message that the countries in Geneva has given amidst great pressure by the European countries on them.
In the resolution, the Human Rights Council also expressed deep concern at what it calls a deteriorating situation in the island nation. The Council also said that judicial independence was increasingly eroding in the country and minorities were being marginalized. The resolution also called on the Sri Lankan government to revise the law on the prevention of terrorism, which rights groups have warned is being used as a weapon targeting dissidents and minorities in the country. Under the PTA, it is permitted to detain anyone suspected of causing acts of violence or religious, racial or communal disharmony.
It's clear that the resolution has had no majority approval of the Council. This is the reality, whatever they want to say. And any of these resolutions, without the consent and the acceptance of the country concerned, cannot be implemented. That is the basic principle.
The government of Gotabaya Rajapaksa had officially withdrawn from co-sponsoring the previous resolution undertaken by the previous government. It had called for an international investigation into alleged war crimes committed by both the government troops and the LTTE during the final phase of the near 3-decade-long civil war that ended in May 2009. Observers say that it is highly unlikely that Colombo will cooperate with the investigation that will take months to launch. However, a resolution against what many see as a charge against Rajapaksas has already rendered a major blow to the government.
While India and the United States have not declared themselves allies as yet, a rapidly deepening engagement between the two sides speaks volumes about the camaraderie they have forged in the recent years. Just days into the Quad leaders' meeting, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd was in New Delhi to further strengthen ties between the two sides. They committed to expand military engagement across services and information sharing in emerging sectors of defense and mutual logistics support.
Indo-US ties that have witnessed an upswing in the past few years, especially during the previous Trump administration, continue to flourish in the Biden era. A key member of the Biden administration, Lloyd Austin, the Defense Secretary of the United States, was in India to provide an impetus to the expanding Indo-US defense cooperation. Austin reiterated the U.S. stance of free Indo-Pacific with an open regional order. He said that the cooperation between like-minded countries was imperative to securing the shared vision for the future. The visit came at the heels of leaders of the United States, India, Australia and Japan holding first summit last week, pledging to work together for a free and open Indo-Pacific and to cooperate on maritime and cybersecurity in the face of growing Chinese threats in the region.
And at the top of my agenda, I wanted to convey the Biden-Harris administration's message of our strong commitment to our allies and partners. India, in particular, is an increasingly important partner among today's rapidly shifting international dynamics. And I reaffirmed our commitment to a comprehensive and forward-looking defense partnership with India as a central pillar of our approach to the region.
While the U.S. has supported Indian advancements in the defense sector in the past few years, both have endeavored to forge a stronger alliance. As the U.S. looks for a reliable and stronger partner in the region, both sides committed to intensifying military-to-military engagement, information sharing, cooperation in emerging sectors of defense like artificial intelligence and mutual logistics support across the Indo-Pacific. While India has shown greater willingness to purchase U.S. defense equipment, New Delhi is also seeking American investment in India's defense production in line with strengthening its domestic defense industrial base. Indo-US alliance has been dubbed a significant alliance in making various observers. They say its positive impact will not just be limited to Indo-Pacific but to the entire world.
Our discussions today focused on our wide-ranging defense cooperation and expanding military-to-military engagement across services, information sharing, cooperation in emerging sectors of defense, and mutual logistics support. We reviewed the wide gamut of bilateral and multilateral exercises and agreed to pursue enhanced cooperation with the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, Central Command, and Africa Command.
The India-US defense trade, which has grown significantly in a short span of time, now stands at $21 billion. The only hiccup in the ties has been New Delhi's purchase of Russian equipment, especially its S-400 anti-aircraft weapon system. Experts say that New Delhi might attract sanctions in line with CAATSA Act of the USA that prohibits countries to buy equipment from its adversaries. New Delhi, however, hopes that the US will waive it. For one, it was purchased to keep its own threats at bay, and two, the deal was inked way before Washington entered the South Asian picture.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in our segment called Asia Watch. With waves, smiles and streamers, the Olympic torch relay kicked off, beginning a 4-month countdown of the postponed 2020 Summer Games in Tokyo, the first ever organized during a deadly pandemic. Casting a pall over celebrations already scaled back because of coronavirus measures, North Korea launched 2 short-range ballistic missiles before the relay began in Fukushima, an area hit hard by 2011 earthquake, tsunami and nuclear disaster. with organizers billing the Games as the Recovery Olympics and not to the disaster as well as the pandemic. Runners included many evacuees who fled their homes after the meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi power plant. Foreign spectators won't be allowed in stadiums, and it remains unclear how many Japanese will be permitted to attend. About 10,000 runners will take part in the 4-month relay, which will go through all Japan's 47 prefectures. Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee Executive Toshiro Muto said the first day of the relay had gone smoothly and organizers were able to maintain adequate social distancing among spectators. The number of spectators, some waving Olympic flags or carp-shaped cloth streamers, increased throughout the day, ranging from nursery school children in colorful caps to elderly people clapping in front of flowering spring trees. Most stood far apart from each other on the side of the road and wore masks. Some runners grinned and posed as they handed off the torch, waving, while others set off to the beat of traditional Japanese drums. One man pushed himself in a wheelchair, the torch mounted in a bracket. The relay will culminate with the Olympic opening ceremony on July 23rd. Manufacturers in South China's Guangdong province are speeding up the upgrading of their products to offset the rising cost of raw materials. The price hikes in raw materials such as copper, iron and aluminium have brought some stress to the manufacturers in Shenzhen city. Yan Fanghong, a purchasing manager with a filtration system maker in Shenzhen, now calls his raw material supplier on a daily basis to closely follow the fluctuations in price. Rising raw material prices alongside sluggish price adjustment for end products are a common issue facing the manufacturers in the Pearl River Delta region. To solve this problem, many manufacturers focus their energy on developing new products, hoping to offset the pressures on cost via product upgrading. Chinese President Xi Jinping exchanged congratulations with Cameroonian President Paul Biya on 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries. In his message, Xi said over the past half a century since the establishment of the bilateral diplomatic ties, China and Cameroon have standing side by side through thick and thin, and the traditional friendship between the two countries has grown stronger continuously. In recent years, the friendly cooperative relations between the two countries have enjoyed a strong momentum of development with deepening political mutual trust and fruitful results in practical cooperation. Xi emphasized that he attaches great importance to the development of China-Cameroon relations. He expressed a willingness to work with Biya to take the opportunity of the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic ties to implement the outcomes of the Beijing summit of the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation and enhance the joint efforts to build the Belt and Road so as to benefit the two countries and peoples and to make positive contributions to forging a closer China-Africa community with a shared future. Moving on, over 15 people died and hundreds others injured after a massive fire broke out in Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh's Cox's Bazar. UN officers in Bangladesh said around 45,000 people were also displaced. This is the second blaze in Cox's Bazar in the last 3 months, one in January that remained limited to the property destruction.
These visuals of black smoke billowing over shanties and tents are expressive enough of the magnitude of fire that broke out at the refugee camps in Bangladesh's Cox's Bazar. In the worst blaze to hit the refugee settlements in years, over a dozen Rohingya were killed and thousands were displaced after the fire swept through the Balukhali camps. This is the second fire after the one in January that didn't claim any lives but caused heavy destruction and induced displacement. The cause of blaze is not yet established, but Bangladeshi authorities say they are investigating. International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies delegation in Bangladesh said more than 17,000 shelters had been destroyed in the blaze and tens of thousands of people had been displaced. The casualty figures could up as aid workers and families sift through the debris looking for further victims. The initial funding's UN refugee agency UNHCR confirmed that more than 550 people injured and about 45,000 displaced.
What we have seen in this fire is something we've never seen before in these camps. It is massive. It is devastating. And we have our teams on the ground. As my IOM colleague said, we have so far confirmed 15 people dead, 560 injured, 400 are still missing, and at least 10,000 shelters have been destroyed. That means at least 45,000 people are being displaced and for whom we seek now provisional shelter.
Some agencies, including the humanitarian organization Refugees International, have said that the real extent of the damage caused may not be known for some time. While some have started rebuilding the houses, others say overpopulation in the camps is one of the primary reasons behind such incidents. A number of attempts have been made to repatriate the refugees back to Myanmar, but they have expressed reluctance in returning, saying that they can't go until their safety and employment are secured. Bangladesh government has constructed spacious settlements at an island in the Bay of Bengal, but this decision has suffered criticism, with some calling it flood and cyclone-prone area. 13,000 have been shifted though, and more are in line with the government, keeping it a voluntary exercise as of now.
Moving on to India, where the hues of vivid colours have filled the whole atmosphere as the country is observing its much-awaited Holi festival. Though celebrated with immense enthusiasm across the country, the festival is a grand affair in few areas of northern state of Uttar Pradesh. Take a look.
Seamed in colours, thousands of people in the Brij region of northern Uttar Pradesh were seen grooving and dancing to the beats of cymbals as they celebrated the most awaited festival of Holi. Consisting of religious towns like Mathura, Vrindavan and Barsana, the Brij region is believed to be the birthplace of Krishna, a major deity in Hinduism, and where he spent most of his childhood. In this region, Holi is a weekly affair, while in the rest of the country, it is celebrated for one day. Laddu Holi marks the beginning of the festival celebrations. As a part of the ritual, laddus are flung at devotees from the terrace of Sri Radha Rani temple, who in turn compete with each other to catch the holy offering.
राधा रानी और कृष्ण के प्रेम की लड्डू होली है। ये आज से होली की शुरुआत होगी, इसलिए लड्डू से खेली जाती है ताकि इसे मिठास बनी रहे सबके बीच में।
Latmar Holi is another age-old tradition in which women use lathis or bamboo sticks to beat the menfolk who protect themselves with shields. This particular enactment is centered on the legend of Radha and Krishna. According to the Hindu scriptures, Lord Krishna from Nandgaon village paid a visit to his consort Radha's Barsana town on this day and in a playful manner teased her and her friends. The women took offense at Krishna's action and chased him away with sticks in their hands. Since then, men from Lord Krishna's village visit Barsana to play Latmar Holi.
मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगता है होली खेल के 12 साल हो चुके हैं मेरे को होली खेलते खेलते और इस होली की हम 2-3 महीने पहले से तैयारी करते हैं.
Holi at Baki Bihari temple, located in Brij region of Vrindavan, is truly a festival of life. Thousands of devotees gathered at a temple devoted to Lord Krishna and play Holi with God himself.
बहुत ज़्यादा मज़ा आया अंदर और ये मेरा फर्स्ट टाइम था, मैंने ये एक्सपीरियंस करा, बहुत अच्छा था, उन्होंने बहुत रंग डाले, बस थोड़ी भीड़ थी, बाकी बहुत मज़े आए.
Celebrated at the onset of spring, Holi holds a mythological importance that is triumph of good over evil. It is associated with the eternal love of Krishna and his consort Radha and riot of colors.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episodes. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Skyrim signing off on behalf of entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.